Welcome to NASDAQ Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at NASDAQ. Biopharmaceutical company Royalty Pharma held its IPO on NASDAQ Tuesday, June 16th. Joining me is Jordan Sachs. He's the head of healthcare IPO listings at NASDAQ for an overview on Royalty Pharma's IPO and biopharma capital market trends for 2020. Jordan, it's great to have you back with us on Trade Talks. And can you describe what Royalty Pharma's IPO process entailed and how it differed from other biopharma IPOs?
Absolutely, Jill. And it's an exciting day here because this was the largest IPO by raise for the year. So it's certainly quite an accomplishment. And congratulations to the Royalty Pharma team on executing a deal of that size in this market. So what I would say about Royalty Pharma, which is really interesting, is that this company is really out there helping other biotechs through the funding of really important clinical trials. And this is a very much needed tool in the financial capital markets that biotechs can have access to. So this IPO enhances the amount of liquidity that they have to deploy and help other future biotechs that need to take drugs through the clinical trials. So it's a really great, it's a great company, and it's a great opportunity for the future of biotech.
And you're right, it is quite remarkable how they raised $2.2 billion in IPO proceeds, securing the top spot. For the remainder of 2020, do you see a healthy pipeline for companies looking to tap the public markets?
So in April, when things weren't looking really good in the capital markets, I had the ability to kind of take a look at the healthcare pipeline because the 99% of all the biopharma companies are listed here on NASDAQ. So we do have unique insights in the data. And we saw a very healthy pipeline. And I went out and put a prediction when the markets weren't looking as robust as they are today, that we would have 35 biotechs raising over $3.5 billion. So we are, if you look at on a pro forma basis, the number of companies that are publicly on file and have already gone public this year, we're going to hit that benchmark right before we get into August. And so I'm going to have to revise my forecast upward and say, not only is the market performing extremely well and the aftermarket performance of these deals are performing very well, but we're going to probably see another 10 or 15 more biotechs than we originally forecasted in the year, taking us up to 45 plus biopharma companies on NASDAQ with proceeds greater than $6 billion raised, which is a huge accomplishment given all the challenges that everyone's been facing this year in the IPO market.
Jordan, can you describe what the IPO environment look like for other biopharma companies? Because from what you're saying, it sounds like there's a lot of demand from investors right now.
There is, and I would say the biotech window is certainly open. All of the IPOs that have gone public this year have priced within or above the range, and I haven't seen that happen in a very long time in the data. So clearly, these deals are well received. They're trading well after post IPO. And I think if you take a long-term view, of the investment thesis of deploying capital in these biotechs, they're not subject to the quarter-by-quarter challenges that some of these traditional businesses face. And you're really deploying capital over the long term. So you could see how in this market where quarter to quarter is more volatile than in the past, the biotech is kind of a nicer safe haven. And then if you layer on top of that all of the cutting edge technology and developments in the science that we're seeing when the speed of taking vaccines to market is equivalent to light speed today, there's really some interesting opportunities to not only invest in a sector that has less impact from these quarter to quarter cycles, but also has some amazing upside on the scientific outcomes and hopefully will lead to some great new drugs and therapies out there.
All right, Jordan, and to wrap up here, are there any new biopharma investing trends taking shape for 2020 and perhaps even beyond?
The one trend that we're just seeing is the acceleration of how quickly these companies are raising capital and coming to market. So historically, there was a longer runway for these companies as they stayed private. And I think the democratization of technology and the fact that these companies can leverage not only the technology that's available from the mapping of the genome to this amazing genomic medicine and gene editing tech to the deployment of some of the AI that you're seeing, companies are able to bring these drug trials to market quicker, raise money quicker, and IPO faster. So I would continue to see more and more companies getting closer to the IPO market. And when we look at 2021, we're also seeing more companies reach out and engage with us because there's just as much interest into the new year as there is this year. So we're very optimistic on the long-term cycle for biotech IPOs here at NASDAQ.
All right, Jordan, thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks.
Great. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
All right, you got it. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at NASDAQ.